Jane Rudolph.
And I'm Monsignor Charles Minor.
I'm Father Joe Glass. Welcome to Reel to Reel.
Every week on Reel to Reel, we find out something new, and we have gone in depth into the musical background of Monsignor and Father. Tonight, in theme with our program, can either of you draw?
Now, how does she do these things?
Yes,
Do you like this, Monsignor?
I can draw.
Can you?
I can draw.
I can't draw worth a darn.
I made a stab at oils one time, and charcoal no good.
No.
But I did something with oils and on velvet.
See?
My experience with charcoal is lighting the grill and cooking burgers. I cannot draw, and I don't know how you do this. Week after week, she hits me with these spot questions.
But there's always a reason. Because tonight, we're going to find out that when God is out of art, then art is dark. But when God is in art, it's filled with color. Just ask Joseph Esposito.
And Father Tom Legere has some interesting things to tell us about how to integrate 4 major elements in our lives and religious experience, which in itself is an art form.
Oh, the whole thing sounds sketchy to me. I want to draw your attention to Sister Patricia Talone, who'll be with us talking about the Mercy Image Project.
Well, if we're into art forms, I think each of us has to find some way in which he expresses himself or herself especially. And we just have to go find out what is the best way to express yourself in art.
Exactly. And in fact, when you think of the religious life, you might remember a teacher from grade school who taught you music, and the tools were probably a guitar or a piano. Well, tonight you're going to meet some music teachers whose tools include footlights and tap shoes.
Nunsense, the longest-running musical in Philadelphia theater history, marked a first with a Nunsense Star Search talent contest. A calling was sent out for real nuns to go above and beyond their normal duties. 14 sisters answered that calling, but only 5 were chosen. The 14 contestants strutted their stuff at the Society Hill Playhouse Wednesday, January 18th, during an audition where they displayed their talents to the Delaware Valley. Stan Hurwitz, co-producer of Nunsense, was surprisingly shocked by the talents they possessed.
Well, within the idea of the contest was, of course, to get the word out to real nuns to not audition, but take part in a talent contest. And the winners would get a number of things. First, what they would get would be a guest star appearance in Nunsense for a week for 7 performances. And most importantly for the nun is, beside being or having an opportunity to showcase her talents in a very unique and positive way, we also will donate $2 of each ticket from each parishioner to the nun's designated favorite charity. So it's a real opportunity for them to help their favorite organization as well.
Of the 14 sisters, 5 were picked. The reaction to being chosen was that of excitement and surprise.
I'm going to be a wreck. An overexposed nerve ending.
So when they contacted me to say that I had won, I was kind of like dead silence on the phone because I didn't believe that it had actually happened. And then there was just this overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into kind of feeling. But there was an excitement there as well.
I'll tell you, the students have been wonderful.
When we found out, Sister Charles, the secretary, announced it on the PA system, and everybody started jumping up and down. Everybody screamed and clapped their hands.
When the call came, I'm waving everybody. So I was really surprised, yeah.
When I went to the office to pick something up, and she got a phone call, and she was in tears. She was so happy.
The sisters who won the competition made special guest appearances in the zany musical comedy during the month of February. A music teacher at West Catholic High, Sister Ann Thomas Taylor from our Mother of Sorrows parish, auditioned at her family's request.
I auditioned because my family saw it in the newspaper, and they wanted me to do this. So I was kind of forced into it, but in a fun way.
Offstage, Sister's talents are admired by her co-workers and students.
We work together pretty well. Sister Ann and I have both come here at the same time about 2 years ago, and it was a big challenge because
I don't know, she's great. She's a fun person to be around.
1, 2, 3, go. Good. Take it that that slow again so we get them clear.
Excitement filled the air for students and faculty at our Mother of Consolation in Chestnut Hill because of their star principal, Sister George Therese.
Well, I was really surprised, you know. Many people say, oh, you must be a late bloomer, and I simply respond to it, wonders never cease. What started out really as a lot of fun has really developed into, as you say, just performing.
Sister Antoinette Marie from Gwynedd Mercy College wasn't quite sure about auditioning for Nunsense when the president of the college asked her to audition.
And I said, I don't want to be part of anything negative about religious life. I certainly believe in it, I love it, and I don't want to be part of anything that's negative. Oh, she said, Antoinette, I saw it. She said, it is so positive, it's so upbeat, it's wonderful.
1, 2, and 3.
A multi-talented individual, Sister Marganne Drago from Hallahan High School and Cathedral Convent was the first to perform.
I really never felt nervous or anxious. I was really eager to get out there and do it. And the fact that there were so many people that came every single day to see the performance really made me know and feel their support. I feel like I'm performing every single day here with the students, and that's what I really love the best. I love teaching.
Sister Barbara O'Neill from Incarnation of Our Lord never expected stardom to be in her immediate future.
So I kind of was thinking it was a joke, and yeah, why not? Give it a shot. But I never thought anything would come of it. I mean, you know, when I left the theater that day, it was over as far as I was concerned.
Sister Barbara, religious education coordinator, loves working with her students and providing a more entertaining curriculum.
Each other, very, very good. Okay.
Many of the sisters' talents are appreciated both on stage and off.
And here I'll stay until it's time for you to go. Yes, we're different.
Several of the sisters raise money for the retired and infirm religious of their orders. But for many of the sisters, being a part of this performance has meant more to them than just singing in front of friends. As Sister Antoinette explained to Mr. Hurwitz why she changed her mind about auditioning.
Even today, if I don't make it, and just in the audition, if I can change one person's idea about what and who a nun is, a sister, I said it would be worth it. He said, well, how would you like to be viewed? I said, well, I would like to be viewed as a woman of prayer, well-educated, gifted, professional, who is happy in the life and very human.
Bravo.
And there might be a curtain call, so please stay with us. Hello, I'm Monsignor Charles Meinhof. Since 1981, Reel to Reel has proclaimed the good news by bringing you stories of Christian faith in action. We do it by roaming the Delaware Valley, searching for people of faith, of hope, and of charity. But like all modern media, it is an expensive proposition. If you're a new viewer, or if you've enjoyed Reel to Reel for many years, we would like to thank you for watching and invite you to participate by actively supporting the show. Today, with costs rising all around us, we need your financial support. A donation of $5, $10, $20, or whatever you can send would help ensure the continued presence of this program. Send your contributions to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19103. And thank you.
Patricia Talone is a
Sister of Mercy, and she's here to share with us her insight into the Mercy Image Project. It's a national campaign in print, radio, and television to raise awareness of the image of the Sisters of Mercy. I welcome you to Reel, Sister Patricia, and I've got to ask you why you need a national campaign. If you've got things like Nunsense out there, they're portraying the image of sisters, why would you need to do any more?
Well, it's precisely because of some of the quote, larger media focus on sisters that I think we do need a project like this. While Nunsense, as I think Sister Antoinette Marie said in the segment, does portray a very positive and kind of happy image of sisters, it still is something that is nostalgic. Older Catholics in our audience could watch that and say, well, that's what Catholic school was like when I was a child. There were all sisters there. And yet today, if you visit a Catholic school, an elementary school, it is very likely that you will find a lay principal or perhaps just a couple of religious there. And so people are kind of wondering, what's the image of sisters today?
Well, we've got Father Dowling Mysteries out there. I believe there's a sister on that every week.
Oh, there is. And I think somebody put her on permanent air fluff. You never kind of know what she's going to do, how she's going to act. You kind of wonder exactly what is her expertise. And that presents another image that obviously I think we as Sisters of Mercy don't experience ourselves, and we would like to let people know that there are a lot of sisters out there who act differently than Sister Stephanie does.
Yeah, so I'm getting the impression that you're not thrilled with the image of sisters that exists.
No, at least not on television.
Tell me what the Sisters of Mercy are doing about it.
Well, this project was begun by the Sisters of Mercy, but with the help of the National Catholic Bishops' Conference, who are also vitally concerned about vocations. And it was an attempt to reach the kind of women who today are considering religious life. We found out through studies that the average or median age of a woman entering religious communities today is between 26 and 27. So it's a young woman who has completed usually her formal education, is already involved in some type of business or career, and yet who is still trying to make a vocational choice. And actually that's not much different than married life today. Most women are entering married life a little bit later than they did in the past. So we set out the Image Project, which is, you mentioned, Father, is involving magazines, newspapers, posters on college campuses and so on. And just for example, the magazines in which we have run the ad are Business Week, Social Work, Nursing 89, Today's Catholic Teacher. So we are trying to reach those women who are looking and saying to themselves, I'm established in a career, but I would like to serve God in a different way.
I think I have seen some of the ads, and for our viewers who haven't, they certainly portray the sisters as being a very professional group. They seem to be a very educated group, and yet at the same time a committed and a caring group. Tell me how realistic this image is. Who are the Sisters of Mercy today?
Okay. I think the image is very realistic. The Sisters of Mercy in the United States are about 8,000 strong. And I would like to say that I don't perceive us or experience the Sisters of Mercy fundamentally as different from a lot of other active religious. We certainly have a very specific charism, which is service to the poor, the sick, and the uneducated, expressed within the charism or the spirit of the Sisters of Mercy. We are a very well-educated group, and part of that is because we've responded to what the Vatican called women religious too back in the 1950s, which was that our education should be as professional and as comprehensive as that of a priest. And so today, if you walked into any convent of mercy, you would find women who are highly educated, who are serving in any of those, in teaching, in nursing, in social service agency type work, particularly with a focus toward helping the poor or enabling others to help the poor.
Sister, give me an insight in the little time we have remaining of who the Sisters of Mercy will be tomorrow. Who out there is a typical candidate, if you will, to join the Sisters of Mercy?
That's a good question. I did a little bit of work in some time, actually 7 years, in vocation work for my own community. And my experience is that although there are not a lot of women entering today, the women who do enter religious life are very committed to God, very committed to the church, and committed to the people in the church who are in need. So they are young women whom I experience as leaders within the church, who are very strongly convinced of their call from God and of the needs within the church, And so I see that type of woman continuing to enter, perhaps not in large numbers, but I really believe that if it's God's work, He continues to issue the call, and people do continue to respond.
And it will be there well into the future.
Yes.
Sister, I thank you. I should mention, too, that you, I don't mean to embarrass you, but your very presence as an image-raising presence for the Sisters of Mercy, you've worn many hats. You've been a vocation director for the Sisters of Mercy. You're an assistant professor out at Gwinnett Mercy College and an ethical consultant at Mercy Center. And it's right there we see the broad professional range of experience.
Yes.
Back to you now, Jane.
Well, we've seen tonight that there are many different visions of religious life, which might lead us to the question, what is religion meant to be?
Well, for us, of course, fundamentally, religion is meeting Jesus in a very special way. The experience has to be personal, it has to be committed to some kind of apostolate and service, and it has to be certainly committed to God the Father through Jesus, who is our Lord. But in getting this religious experience, we have to find out what makes the religious experience work.
Greetings in the Lord. In order for a religious tradition to be life-giving, it needs 4 elements: religious experience, an understanding of that experience, the element of service, and finally a way of synthesizing all 3 of those elements. Let's take them one at a time. First of all, we need a religious experience. A religion that does not give us religious experience is dead. Sometimes I think people fall into what I call secondhand religion. We have an experience of someone else's experience. The point of everything that Jesus and Mary and all the saints did was to enable us to follow them, to have that same experience of the living God that they had. Secondly, we need an understanding of our experience. This, I think, is where a lot of the fundamentalists really come up short. For them, they are settling for pat answers, for black and white solutions to life's problems, whereas Catholicism, in its finer moments, has always cherished the intellectual pursuit, has honored the fact that God has given us a brain. A priest friend of mine had a fundamentalist come up to him recently and say, "The Lord led me here and the Lord led me there," and his response was, "Has the Lord ever led you to a library?" It is crucial for us, I think, for intelligent thinking people to be able to investigate and try to understand our religious experience. Thirdly, however, it's also crucial for us to translate all of this into service. Jesus was very clear about the fact that religion is not to be just a mystical fantasy. It's not just to be a head trip, certainly. It is, when all is said and done, to be something that enables the heart to open up and for us to love one another, to wash one another's feet. Finally, it's important for us to have some kind of a synthesis of all this. You can have service without religious experience, and then I think we become like the hollow men of T.S. Eliot, mindlessly going through the motions. Or we can have a religious experience without any kind of service. And that leads us to a kind of fanaticism. If any element is missing or is distorted, then religion is in trouble. Let's examine our consciences and see how we can make religion be all that it was meant to be.
Synthesize sounds so scientific. I guess it is, but really, there's no great science to being able to put all these things in one heart and one love that you and I can for Almighty God.
And we're going to colorize your life next on Reel to Reel, so stay with us.
That'll maybe let somebody know that it's not as evil as it seems, and that we don't have to be as afraid as we are.
Many people find retirement isn't as much fun as they thought it would be. Too much time on their hands, too little to do. The Retired Senior Volunteer Program has thousands of opportunities for retired executives, housewives, engineers, teachers, whatever your skills or schedule. RSVP has something to fit anyone's interests. You've learned a lot in your life. share the experience of a lifetime.
We welcome your comments and suggestions and encourage you to write to us at Reel to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19103, or call us during regular business hours at 215-668-9842.
Masters use art forms of all kinds, and I often wonder whether a master can really produce a religious art masterpiece if he himself is not a religious person.
Well, Monsignor, just ask Joseph Esposito about that one, because this Ben Salem artist was originally involved in a world that was devoid of God and of light, and that was reflected by the somber tones of his work. And yet when the brush was touched by the hand of God, the rich talent emerged.
I feel like what I've seen is that fear is one of the greatest forces that's going around the world today. And I'd like to create art that serves to maybe overcome that just a little bit. That'll maybe let somebody know that it's not as evil as it seems, and that we don't have to be as afraid as we are. When I got as far down as I could go, that's where God stepped in, you know, and opened the door and let me out. When I found God, it turned me around. I haven't seen the world the same way since. So it would only make perfect sense that my art would change along with that. That gave me some kind of faith and some kind of hope, something strong to hold on to. So I want to put out something that not only conveys hope and courage and light, I want it to be very strong as well. So I want people that see my paintings to feel a sense of security. And I think that we desperately need that in this world. And I feel like what I'm trying to do is put some good into the world. I believe it's my purpose for being alive. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's directly from God, and I think that that's what you connect with. I think it's a real spiritual act, if you can get that, if you can get to that point. Art is a form of meditation, because when you're into it, and I mean totally into it, when you're working, something happens, you connect with the spirit. And it is a form of prayer as well for me. The bell tower, it was from Venice, and I did it from a study that I did. In Venice, they have a huge tower that you can go up in and look out. It's in the square of San Marco. These carriages they were outside the Colosseum in Rome, and I was up on the second level of the Colosseum looking out, and I did a drawing of these carriages. Yeah, that's a very active crucifixion. I mean, all the soldiers and people and everybody's gathered around and they're going their own way, and yet Christ is on the cross. It's just like what's going on today. I think sometimes we forget why that happened. So there's a reminder. From being in those places where you just feel like, you know, I just can't go on, you know. And I found out that if you just hang on, you get through. And that's what I'd like to say in my art. So I want to do something that heals.
You should know that Joey was actively involved in every end of that piece. For instance, I said to him, "What music should I use underneath your art?" And he said, "Well, I'll send you a tape." So the music that you heard was actually music that he creates too in his art studio.
So he really did. He took care of it all.
He did.
Yeah.
He really
and
did.
In taking care of it all, I have one piece of unfinished business, and that's to thank Sister Patricia Talone for being with us. I got so busy gabbing with her. I found her so interesting. I ran right out of time and didn't get to thank her for being with us, so I thank her.
That's a nice opportunity, Father, because Sister has brought up a beautiful point to us. You know, all the upper mobility of the successful people and careers that are around us, why the older people, or not older, say 25 to 35, go running past religious vocation. This is the time for, I think, the mature individual, the professional, to honestly to consider the perfect fulfillment in religious vocation life.
Yeah. And I think they're onto something. I think the reason so many people pass it by is that it hasn't been presented clearly for what it is, and it really is a great life, and we can attest to that.
And leave it to Real to present everything nice and clearly. Thanks to Father and Monsignor, and to you too. So
to
until
you.
next week, thank you. Please take care.
Goodbye, and God bless you.
Good night. See you next week on Real to Real.
Travel arrangements for Reel to Reel by Atkinson and Mullen, Newtown Square, PA, 215-359-5980. You are cordially invited to join the Reel to Reel crew as they travel through Switzerland, Austria, and Germany, gearing up for the most dramatic event staged on the European continent, the Passion Play, a world-famous tribute to the life of Christ. At Oberammergau, you will witness live on an enormous stage the events that actually happened to Jesus during his week of Passion, performed by a cast of over 1,000 professionals. This once-in-a-lifetime religious experience brings the Passion of our Lord before your very eyes. Included in your tour package is round-trip air transportation, 14 nights deluxe hotel accommodations, and daily breakfast and dinner. You will enjoy such sightseeing tours as a beautiful cruise along the Rhine River and truly experience the culture and folklore of Europe throughout your 16-day itinerary. This spectacular trip is scheduled for July 26 through August 10, 1990. Don't hesitate to reserve your seat for the Passion Play at Oberammergau because tickets are limited. All persons traveling with the Reel to Reel crew will receive as a bonus a 1-hour videotape capturing the memories of your trip. For more information, please call 215-587-3775.
If you want an alternative in radio programming, listen to Up on Air. Host Father Lee Forbes hails from Camden, and Sister Mary Ann Johnson calls Philadelphia home. Together, they cover the local scene with timely interviews, lively scripture chats, and an up-tempo spiritual tune or two. Up on Air puts you in touch with all the good things happening in the Delaware Valley. You can hear Up on Air Sundays on these stations.
20 years ago, leukemia took the lives of enough people to fill a ballpark. But today, more people are surviving thanks to research by the Leukemia Society of America.
Hi, I'm Gary Carter. Join the team that's striking out leukemia. The Leukemia Society of America. We're closing in on a killer.
Do you know what Pentecost is all about? The disciples gathered about, and the Spirit came upon them in signs and wonders.
Well, the same coming still happens. On Saturday, May 13th, we will gather at the cathedral for the Mass of the Pentecost.
You will share in the same outpouring of the Spirit as on the original Pentecost.
If you've never been to one of our Masses, this is the time.
You need no tickets, just come. 7 p.m. to the Cathedral Basilica.